thank you for joining me for week 2 of the 12 weeks of Halloween. And today we're going to be making this tall and thin box to hold one of these tube containers of candy. And I am going to start with a piece of Cajun Craze cardstock. Now this is cut at 6.5 by 8.5. So, you know, it's an 8.5 sheet of cardstock. Cut it down at 6 1/2. And let's get the Simply Scored, and we're going to do some scoring. So let me get the 6.5 inch side up at the top, and we're going to score at 1.5, 3, 4.5, and 6. All right, let's turn it on the 8.5 inch side, and we're going to score at 1.5 and 7 1/2. Now, you can see that this edge, this score is going to leave a bigger section than this side. So this is going to be the bottom of our box, okay? All right, let's do some burnishing with our bone folder on these scored lines, and then we're going to do a little bit of cutting and trimming. Now, the little piece of twine at the top is cut a shorter length than I'm going to show you here because I have another idea that I'm going to share with you. So be sure and stick around for that. But let's get all these scored. All right, so now this narrow score line has a small rectangle at the top and the bottom, and we're going to cut both of those off. Okay, and then on each side, go to that intersecting score line there and cut up to that score line. Okay, and turn it around, and this narrow side is going to be the box bottom. But first we're going to be doing some all over stamping to give a pattern to our box base. And I'm going to be using the Artisan Textures. I'm going to be using this texture stamp just to give it an eerie feel like for Halloween. And so here's my stamp mounted, and I'm going to ink it up in Memento Black ink and just kind of stamp all over, just randomly. It doesn't have to be a certain pattern, and you don't have to stay within the boundaries of the score lines because it's going to show wherever it is. Okay, I think that's good. All right, let's get that ink out of the way, and we can go ahead and assemble the box. Now I'm going to need some adhesive right here on this side, and since I'm using cardstock and the weight of the candy holder is pretty thick, and it's those M&Ms in that this little tube here, so I'm just going to use some tear and tape so it gives it a good hold and will hold the weight. Let's rip that off, and then we're just going to fold that over and bring around this side and adhere together. Here's our bottom, this narrow side. So let's just kind of open up our box, and this is the seam here, so we're going to call this the back of the box. So let's fold in the sides, then the back, and then the front. And let me go ahead and put a piece of tear and tape there. And all these products that I'm using here can be found in the Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog. I have to get my bone folder down in there. Press that down. All right. So now we can put the M&Ms right inside. And then fold the two side flaps in. Let's see, here are the side flaps now. Right here. And then these are going to be pinched together like that. And I'm going to take a 1/8 inch handheld circle punch and punch about a 1/2 inch down in the center through both thicknesses, okay? Now, let's go with the baker's twine. On this one, I used 10 inches, and then I'm going to show you how I threaded it through the hole, and then I tied a knot up at the top, and it has this little opening, okay? But I made this one longer in case you would want to like hang this on a doorknob. You know, leave it at someone's house or at someone's office door. And so I cut this one about 16 inches long. I'm doubling it. And then I'm going to take the looped end and line up the holes there that I punched front and back and thread it through. I'm going to take my paper piercer and kind of help it through. Alright, so the loop is on this side now. So I'm going to open that up and take these two ends and thread it through and pull it tight like that. And then I'm going to knot this end, and that will leave a big enough opening to hang it on a doorknob. The other one, the shorter one, probably would not have been wide enough. Okay, this one's going to give you plenty of room to hang it wherever you want to. All right, so now we've got the box ready, the candy inside. Let's do some decorating. I'm using some punches and some cardstock. Here is crushed curry, and I'm going to take a 2-inch circle punch and punch out a moon. And then I have some basic black cardstock, and I have our cat punch that's in the annual catalog, and just going to punch one of those out, and that's going to be ready to go. And then I want the cat sitting down a little bit with the moon extending above his head. And let's just attach it like this. Okay, and that's going to go there. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the greeting. And that's coming from Itty Bitty Greetings from the annual catalog that has a small, tiny, itty bitty saying for almost any occasion or holiday. And I'm going to use crushed curry and the basic black ink again. And this little sentiment says trick or treat. So let's ink that up in black and stamp. And then I'm going to use the classic label punch that will punch out most of the sentiments in that set. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the leftover ink that's on that texture stamp and just kind of stamp it over to give that some texture with ink, okay? Then I have our faceted dots that we used in Halloween week 1, and I'm going to take some of the black faceted dots and put one on each side of the sentiment. And now let's put this together. All right, here's our cat. I have a space there that doesn't have any texture, so texture stamp, so I want to put the sentiment there. And I think that's going to be good. Let me go ahead and put some snail adhesive here. And just attach it there, and then do that same on the sentiment strip. And if you don't have this punch, you could just like cut a thin strip of cardstock and stamp and cut it off the length that you want. Okay, there it is. All right. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks so much for joining me for these Halloween treats. And as I've said before, if you don't decorate or create for Halloween, you can still use these ideas for any occasion, okay? Birthday parties, Christmas, anytime you want to give a little gift, try it. Just change out your colors and your stamps and your sentiments, and you're good to go. Okay, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Visit my website at inkinspirations.com, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.